voice of reason, indescribable yet pleasing. What's the scoop today in your battle for truth, justice, and the American way? Home health and politics, conspiracy theories or karate kicks, intelligent discussions on the issues of the day, but tell them not to call unless they got something to say. What's the word for now? Can you tell me how? Will our team win? I guess it depends on what shape they're in. Home health or politics, conspiracy theories or cement bricks, intelligent discussions on the issues of the day. Tell them not to call unless they got something to say.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
Man, you're really cool.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
You ain't nobody's fool.
Hello, Uncle
You live by the golden rule. When there's a fiery discussion, you supply the fuel. Man, you really hip.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
You don't take no lip.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
Man, you got it under control. If there's one thing you got, it's a lot of soul. On the thing we like about you, Uncle Henry, if you have a caller who's particularly pugnacious, quarrelsome, contentious, belligerent, truculent, or scathingly harsh, you simply disconnect the lines of communication. Oh, yeah. In other words, you hang up on the fool. Yeah. You're the Duke of Decorum, the Prince of Propriety, the Emperor of Excellence, the Sultan of Sensibility, and the Maharaja of Magnificence. Ba-do-do-do-do-do.
Uncle Henry.
Oh, yeah.
Taking pride in Mobile, taking pride in Mobile. Come on, let your spirit show. Taking pride in Mobile. We're growing, shining, winning, so we're taking pride in Mobile. We're over young, we're fast and slow, and we love watching our future grow. Let's tell the world so they will know, and we're taking pride in Mobile. And wherever I may go, I'll tell them I come Mobile. We're over young, fast and slow, and we love watching our future grow. Let's tell the world so they will know, and we're taking pride in Mobile. And wherever I may go, I'll tell them I come Mobile. Taking pride in Mobile, taking pride in Mobile.
Come ride a little train going down the track at the junction. Woo woo! Pinnacle Junction. There's old Uncle Joe moving kind of slow at the junction. Woo woo! Pinnacle Junction. I will return.
Message deleted. Press
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
And we have some congestion developing on I-65 northbound. Watch for an accident approaching Spring Hill Avenue in the right lane. And from I-10 to 165, it's a 7-minute delay. Also, it's slow on the Bayway westbound from the Eastern Shore to the tunnel in Mobile. It's a 12-minute drive. On Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10, a 9-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColidusFoundation.org.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
The Uncle Henry Show, weekday afternoons from 5 till 7.
Sleigh ride, come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you.
Wonderful town, wonderful people, places to go, things to see. My love is Mobile, that's my wonderful town. Beautiful homes, schools and churches, entertainment, places to shop. My heart's in Mobile, that's my wonderful town. Mobile, the center of transportation, business and industry set the pace. Mobile's got the Junior Miss celebration, home of Mardi Gras and Senior Bowl game.
Mobile is great to live in and work in.
The climate's ideal for progress you see. My love is Mobile, that's my wonderful town.
Roll, Dad, roll, Uncle Henry.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Roll, Tide, roll! Thank you so much for listening to the Uncle Henry Show here on this Friday. A very, very unusual Friday. In my personal opinion, that's a personal opinion.
Personal opinion time.
Yes, personal opinion time. It's an unusual Friday because there's an Alabama football game tonight. Alabama's scheduled to defeat Oklahoma tonight in a playoff game. And I'm glad that there's a football game. I'm glad it's Alabama in the playoffs. I'm glad they're facing this team again, giving Alabama an opportunity to beat them under this coach. I'm looking forward to all of that. But it is unusual. I find it unusual. It's rare. Alabama's played on Fridays before, usually Iron Bowls after Thanksgiving and stuff like that. I don't know that I like them. I don't know that I like Friday night games, but still, it's a blessing. Sum total is it's a blessing. Now, we've got that. We've got Christmas. We've got all these things. There's all kind of stories to talk about, all things to get into. But there's one thing. I'm very annoyed today, as usual, by the Congress of the United States of America. Just annoyed really every minute of a day. If my thoughts wander and accidentally stumble into the Congress, automatic annoyance. So today we've got Alabama football because I'm going to be happy about that, and we got Christmas. Should be happy thoughts about Christmas. But today, Congress is releasing they've forced the release of all these Epstein files today. And so now we're getting thousands of Epstein files right before Christmas. Now, they've had these files for years and years. And there's been a big fight over the files. People didn't want to release them, then they wanted to release them, and then they didn't want to release them, and then they passed legislation to release them. All these years they've had, couldn't they have waited until after Christmas Day? Because right now, already today, I'm looking at all these nasty headlines are popping up about Epstein. This person is in the Epstein file. Couldn't they have waited until after Christmas to dump a bunch of these files about perverts? There's all this pervert stuff coming out. And there's an Alabama football game coming up just shortly. And I got all this perverted stuff in the news. Can we not have, look, in the future, can y'all just wait with the pervert stuff until after Christmas? I know you want to have full transparency and let everybody know the truth, let the sun shine in. The truth shall set us free and all that kind of stuff. Can't you do that? Or just wait until after Christmas before all this pervert stuff comes up? This is what I'm talking about. So I'm getting ready for the show. I'm looking at what President Trump did today and what's been going on here locally and what's in the news on the state level and all that kind of, all those bozos in Alabama government and all that kind of stuff. And now all these stories. For example, here's one headline this afternoon. Half-naked Bill Clinton. I'm sorry I paused there because it's stuff I never, ever even wanted to say or read. All right, let me go through the whole headline. Half-naked Bill Clinton relaxes in hot tub, swims with Ghislaine Maxwell in Mystery Woman in new Epstein file photo. All right, there's one headline. Here's another one. Jeffrey Epstein pictured with pop legend in alleged pedophile Michael Jackson in Department of Justice latest document release. So this is another thing. Just on and on. Let's see, what was the other one I saw? There was something about Mick Jagger being involved in all this. Look, keep this away from me until after Christmas, please. I don't want my holiday memories soiled. I don't want to, I'm trying to make good. I just got married back in April, and I'm trying to establish new traditions and have wonderful holiday memories, both with my new wife and all of the family, and I don't want my memories soiled with all these pedophile pervert headlines popping just constantly. Now, am I glad we're going to know all that we're going to know? I guess so. Transparency is good, but couldn't you have just timed this a little bit better? Is this did the Congress have to time it like this, where they would pass it at such a time then it would force the release to be right there the weekend before Christmas? We're going to all this pervert stuff, and they've just started. I'm sure there's going to be pervert headlines all weekend long, because there's thousands of files. And so every time they see something exciting and perverted, they're going to put a new headline up. Anytime some celebrity we hadn't heard of. And I don't want to mention anybody to create an example because, you know, Captain Kangaroo, a picture with Epstein, all this kind of stuff. We don't need this. Not right before Christmas. Now, after Christmas, go right ahead. But anyway, that's just a pet peeve of mine. Got all the perversion being dumped right before the Alabama's playing today. I want to be excited about it. I don't want a bunch of perverted stuff involved with my Alabama football thoughts. When we come back, the Uncle Henry Show will continue. I'm contractually obligated to remain on the air. Even though I'd like to flee the building and get ready for the Alabama football game, I'm remaining on the air with you because I value you, my listener. We'll talk about Alabama and all that other news after the break.
From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
And we have some congestion developing on I-65 northbound. Watch for an accident approaching Spring Hill Avenue in the right lane. And from I-10 to 165, it's a 7-minute delay. Also, it's slow on the Bayway westbound from the Eastern Shore to the tunnel in Mobile. It's a 12-minute drive. On Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10, a 9-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
What if I...
And YouTube, we got a small number of YouTube viewers. I know that many of the people that would ordinarily watch this show are already probably drunk by now. getting ready for that Alabama game. But you are wonderful for looking at me on YouTube. Hello to Larry Morting, Norman Richardson, KP of shirtbutter.com, Nelson. Always great to see Nelson. Chris the Bammer. Is that your new handle, Chris the Bammer? Hip replacement surgery. God bless you. I've been thinking about you. As I mentioned to you before, good that you had hip replacement surgery in 2025 instead of any previous year, because it gets better every year. The technology. Hello to Love Freak 69. Chuck, always thank you. Always appreciative when Chuck brings his maturity and common sense to the chat. Always, it helps me orient myself to be more commonsensical when I know that Chuck is involved because of his maturity and common sense. And he's correct. The most wonderful time of the year, and a dump truck of manure being dumped into our civic consciousness. Now, again, Epstein files, transparency allegedly good, but do you have to do it right before Jesus' birthday? Come on. Now, Chris the Mammer, how you up and walking around and stuff after that surgery? That's one of the encouraging things about knee replacements and hip replacements and all that kind of stuff is they make you get right up out of that bed and walk, which is good because you want to make sure that you can do that. Although I'll have to say I've had relatives that have been resistant to wanting to get up and do anything after having things replaced. I pledge that if I have things replaced, I'm going to try to get up and move around as quickly as possible. I've learned through years of interviewing doctors on the radio that one of the worst things for an older person is to not move. It's not good. Now, let's see. Hello to Excalibur One Force. Hello to you. Thank you for looking in on the program. All right, let's see. Going to be back on the radio in about 90 seconds. Let me see. Is there anything good? I'm 68-year-old Chris. I'm glad you're moving around. Let me see if there's any weird thing I can find to tell you about before I'm back on the radio in 1 minute. I did see some stuff in the weird news file today. Strange flying objects have been spotted over a power plant in Sweetwater County, Wyoming for 13 months. The sheriff's office there says they look like drones, and probably are. They look like drones. They often fly in coordinated formations. They're too high to shoot down. Apparently they've tried. Despite reaching out to state and federal agencies, local officials say they've gotten no answers, and the sightings are so common now because it's been 13 months, people have stopped reporting them. All right, well, I guess if you want to go and look at UFOs, you can go do that up in Wyoming near the power plant.
Of our American stories.
Roll Tide. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. Have a Merry Christmas and a blessed Christmas. Telephone number if you'd like to call the show and tell me something, 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. Email address, old-fashioned electronic mail address. Uncle Henry at iHeartMedia.com. That's Uncle Henry at iHeartMedia.com. Now, while I was talking to you in the last segment about these Epstein file headlines, there are more Epstein file headlines have popped up during that break. Let's see. Here's a new one. The next headline: Bill Clinton. This is all because the Epstein files being released today. All these thousands of files, with more to come. Right in time for Christmas. The newest headlines, I got two of them here. The first one, Bill Clinton, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Mick Jagger shared dinner in new Epstein photos released by Department of Justice. The next headline, Epstein docs include heavily redacted 100-page blacked out file. I know. All right, so what's the point? I don't even want to talk about this thing. I want to talk about Alabama football, roll tide, roll, and other things. So what is the point of going through all this if they're going to release a 100-page blacked out file? So then what's going to happen? There'll be another, Congress is going to pass another bill to unredact that 100-page file. This is so ridiculous. 100-page blacked out file. Well, of course, that will mean even more talk about it. I get maybe it's to ensure that we continue to talk about it into infinity. All right, Uncle Henry Show, News Radio 710 WNTM. Yes, there's an Alabama football game tonight. Oklahoma, roll tide, roll. I would like to go on the record as predicting an Alabama victory. Yes, I'm going to predict an Alabama victory. I am. I'm predicting an Alabama victory over Oklahoma tonight. And I'm looking forward to seeing the game. My wife, one of the best things about my wife is that she really cares who wins these Alabama games. She really does. If Alabama is not doing well in the fourth quarter, it is an issue. It is an issue that must be dealt with. And I like that. I like that she's invested on many levels into Alabama victories. I like that. That's a wonderful quality to have in a partner in life. And I also like that my wife, she derives joy when other SEC football teams lose, when she determines that they are a rival of Alabama. I don't want to name names because we're in the Christmas season. Merry Christmas and have a blessed Christmas. But if it were a regular Alabama game during the season, she'd also want to know, did all of the teams that we not like lose? This is all good. If you're looking for a partner in life, look for these qualities. I predict an Alabama victory over Oklahoma. I do. I'm predicting that and looking forward to it. Now, let's see. In other news, today the president was on TV again. President Trump had another big press conference today, and I enjoyed President Trump's press conference today. I like the topic. President Trump pulled in a bunch of pharmaceutical company executives into the Oval Office to make the announcement that he's told them that he's going to tariff them. He's just going to tariff them out of their minds if they don't lower drug prices. Now, many people listening to News Radio 710 WNTM and many people listening to AM radio in general are likely to need lots of prescriptions, just demographically. If you look at the demographics of the AM radio listener, they use prescription drugs and might need them to live. So this would be good news. Let's listen. I've got a brief bit of President Trump from his Oval Office discussion today. He brought in all the executives and made them stand behind him.
I'm thrilled to be joined by the leaders of 9 of the world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturers, all very big names, celebrities in their own right, very, very powerful people, and they head some of the most admired companies anywhere in the world. It's a great group. To announce that they've agreed to offer many of their flagship drugs, really all of their flagship drugs, at heavily discounted, most favored nations prices. In other words, whatever the drug sells for over the world, in the world, whatever the lowest number is, if it's Germany, if it's in UK, anywhere, we will match that price.
Now, I'm pausing there, and there's not much more to go, but I'm sure you probably already know this, but in case you have not figured it out or haven't heard it or don't give a flip, the prices we pay in the United States of America for pharmaceutical drugs are often 2 to 3 times more than what people are paying in other countries, like a lot of the European countries. Why do you think that would be? Why do you think they would charge us 3 times more than they would charge some guy in Germany? Maybe it's because we'd pay it. I don't know.
Right now, sometimes it's 10 times higher. We've been laughed at and scoffed at for years. For years. In fact, I was going to do it in my first term, but unfortunately with the advent of COVID, as you would say, it was not, I don't think it was a very good time to be hitting up Spain, Italy, France.
All right, so President Trump working this deal with these pharmaceutical companies, and there are more. That wasn't all the big pharmaceutical companies, but they said in the meeting, in the press conference, that more were going to come and meet with him, I think, next week or the week after. And I know next week is the week of Christmas, but still, I think they're going to have more come in to get this deal. And it was using tariffs as leverage on these pharmaceutical companies. They don't want tariffs or anything on their products. And so we're going to, allegedly, in January, a lot of these drug prices are going to drop. And a lot of it is going to be direct to consumer from the drug company, not going through an insurance company to get the lower price. So anything that would lower drug prices in this country, very, very good. And President Trump also said something about wanting to bring in the insurance companies. I don't know how that's going to work, but he's talked about bringing in some of the health insurance companies and trying to negotiate with them. I like the direction it's moving in. Back after the break.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
We have some congestion developing on I-65 northbound. Watch for an accident approaching Spring Hill Avenue in the right lane. And from I-10 to 165, it's a 7-minute delay. Also, it's slow on the Bayway westbound from the Eastern Shore to the tunnel in Mobile. It's a 12-minute drive. On Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10, a 9-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
What if I can guarantee the price of Bitcoin will be $1 million in 2030? Well, I can't, but I can guarantee you'll save a lot of money on blinds at my company, Blindster.com. Free samples, free shipping, and guaranteed to fit. Shop at Blindster.com today.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
Hello, I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News. 2 teens indicted for the murder of a 14-year-old girl in Santa Rosa County, Florida. The state indicting Kamari Blevins and Gabriel Williams for first-degree premeditated murder. Law enforcement says Williams stole his mom's handgun and used it to shoot 14-year-old Danica Troy. The sheriff says they all went to the same school and were at one time supposedly friends. Williams and Blevins are currently being held without bail in the Santa Rosa County Jail. Both will return to court for an arraignment on January 8th. 1 of 7 people killed in a small plane crash in North Carolina Thursday has been identified as an Auburn University student. Alabama Rep. Barry Moore confirmed Jack Dutton was one of the people on board the flight that crashed while trying to make an emergency landing. Now, according to social media posts, Dutton was in aviation school at the university, set to graduate in 2028. Other people who died included retired NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and his family. 43 critically missing children are safe for the holidays thanks to a major operation in North Florida. Operation Northern Lights, led by the U.S. Marshals Service, was carried out with the help from multiple agencies, including law enforcement in Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, Escambia, and Walton counties. Pensacola and Crestview police also helped. 3 children from Okaloosa County were found, a 17-year-old and a 1-year-old. They were found outside Jackson, Mississippi. I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News on this iHeartRadio station.
It's game day for the Alabama Crimson Tide in the first round of the college football playoff. Alabama once again taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. Offensive coach Ryan Grubb on whether he'll try to kickstart the run game or pass.
I've used them all. I've used throw the deep ball early and run later, run early, throw the deep ball after. So I think some of it obviously comes down to the whatever schematic advantage you think you have against a particular defense and what they give you early in the game or don't give you. And I think sometimes there's a feel-out process during the game, and you can see what you think you have success with. But, for us, whether the ball's going down the field or running the football, we got to be more consistent with the ball moving forward, period.
Tight ends Josh Cuevas and Danny Lewis Jr., along with running back Jam Miller, will be back in action tonight. Kickoff is 7 p.m., and the winner goes to the Rose Bowl playing Indiana. The Brown University shooter who killed Mountain Brook's Ella Cook, we now know entered the country through the lottery immigrant visa program in 2017. He was later granted a green card. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem says this heinous individual should never have been allowed in our country. She says in 2017, President Trump fought to end this program. That was after the devastating New York City truck ramming by an ISIS terrorist who had entered under the diversity green card program and murdered 8 people. Noem says that program has now been suspended. The Missile Defense Agency at Redstone Arsenal will be tracking Santa's sleigh on Christmas Eve. The agency's main purpose is to track ballistic missiles, and they'll be using the same technology to follow Rudolph and his buddies around the globe. The program's Lieutenant Sean Gainey says although Santa can be tracked, he's safe.
He flies way too fast from what I've seen in the past for any of the missiles to be able to catch him.
I'm Leah Brandon.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
News. I'm John Saucier. The Justice Department has begun to release documents from the Epstein files. Kentucky Congressman James Comer telling Fox that him and his team are going over all the documents, but says it's going to take some time.
It'll take several days to go through all of these documents, but this is what the American people wanted. This is what Congress overwhelmingly voted for, and I applaud the Trump administration for complying with this request and getting these documents so that everyone can lay eyes on them and judge for themselves.
In November, the Epstein Files Transparency Act passed. It requires the government to release the files within 30 days. President Trump signed this bill into law in November. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, announcing the U.S. military has conducted a strike against ISIS targets in Syria. He called this a response to the attack on U.S. forces that happened on December 13th in Palmyra, Syria, and killed 3 Americans. America is listening to Fox News.
YouTube viewers, thank you for looking in on YouTube. Going to be back on the radio in 1 minute. In 1 minute, going back on the radio. Let me take a quick look, see if there's still a viewer. And yeah, there's a small number of y'all looking in. Thank you for looking. Let's see. I'm glad that you're giving advice to 68-year-old Chris in his recovery from surgery.
It is an offer or solicitation for investment advice, securities, insurance, or other investment products.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show, News Radio 710, WNTM. Merry Christmas. Have a blessed Christmas. It's 5:35. Now, this music, Up on the Housetop. Now, is that Up on the Housetop? Is that a Gene Autry? Gene Autry just does not get the respect he deserves. He did more than Christmas music. I might have to start figuring out a way to play Gene Autry music after Christmas, just to educate the Gulf Coast on the greatness of Gene Autry. 251-479-2723, the telephone number. That's 251-479-2723. Email address, unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. I got some voicemail I want to get to. Before I do that, I was mentioning in the last half hour that the Congress has passed that law and about the Epstein files, and now the Department of Justice is releasing all these thousands and thousands of Epstein files today. And there's just new disgusting, perverted headlines. Every few minutes, there's a new disgusting, perverted headline. Here is the latest that came across during the news break that we just had here on WNTM. The latest headline was Epstein files reveal photo of, you remember Prince Andrew? You got in all that trouble for hanging out with Epstein all the time. The latest headline is Epstein files reveal photo of Andrew laying across women's laps. So just right now, instead of reading the documents, they're just looking for famous people in pictures and telling us about it. Anyway, I'm sure just more of this for the next several days. More perverted stuff coming up next several days from Epstein. All right, let me get off of that and get on to some voicemail. Voicemail number, if you would like to leave a message for the Uncle Henry Show, the voicemail number is 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976 to leave a message for the Uncle Henry Show. Now, let's see. This message came in this morning. Roll Tide, roll. God, that is so wonderful. I wish I can't sing, and I'm not good at whistling it either. But thank you for phoning that in. I appreciate it. Anybody that wants to whistle on the Uncle Henry Show, that is also encouraged. Now, whistling, I don't know that there's any younger listeners in their 60s right now listening. But back in the day, whistling was considered quite the skill in this country. For entertainment. And there was a famous whistler, Fred Lowry. He was a professional whistler who recorded lots of albums of him whistling. I know to you a young person in your 60s or 50s, you probably think, wow, really? Yes, Americans loved whistlers. Look up Fred Lowry. Look him up. I'm sure there's some Fred Lowry on YouTube. But he I think his highest charting song on the Billboard charts was The High and the Mighty, which I think made the top 10. Yes, there were simpler times. We had simpler times in this country where you could have whistling and people would be entertained by it, and they'd buy record albums, and they'd listen to an entire album of a blind man whistling. Fred Lowry. Look him up. All right, let me go back to the voicemail. Voicemail number 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976 to leave a message for the Uncle Henry Show.
Roll Tide, just read on the Facebook where another legend has decided to cash it in, called retirement. Bill Riles. I remember him. When I've watched Channel 5 News. Was he already here when I moved here in 1996? I wonder.
I don't remember.
Anyhow, so long, adios, and you have a good one.
Well, let me pause the voicemail there before you end your salutation. Bill Riles, Bill Riles, outstanding job. Just a tremendously good anchor. So good at what he does. And yeah, I saw that too, where he is retiring off of the television. Had a chance to have him on the Uncle Henry Show one time only, and it was when he released one of his books. He's written some mysteries, I believe. And I had him on once, and he was just a terrific guest. One of these guys that's great at talking and also has interesting things to say when he talks. So I hope that in his retirement, maybe he'll podcast. Maybe he'll do a video podcast, which would not be as demanding as getting up in the middle of the night to go into TV5 and be on television at 4:30 in the morning to do news. So again, I do wish him a happy retirement, and the guy's, he's very, very good at what he does. All right, back to the voicemail.
And you have a good one. And on another topic, are you going to watch, well, excuse me, let me back up a minute. Where are you going to watch the game at tonight? Hopefully, you get home, the show ends, you'll get home in time to catch kickoff at 7 o'clock. So, roll tide, roll!
Roll tide, roll! All right, well, I don't think I'll be able to get home right at kickoff. That's a little, that would be me driving. I would have to, well, I don't think it's possible. Maybe if I had a helicopter or something. But no, I won't make it in time for kickoff, but I am watching at home. I'm watching at home. Thank you for asking, though. I appreciate you wanting to keep up with where I'm watching the game and all that kind of stuff. Yes, 7 o'clock. I'm glad that it's early enough that we don't have to stay up real late to see the game. But still, there's, as you can tell, college football, as you could tell with what happened with the Lane Kiffin thing, they've still got a lot to figure out in terms of how to handle their calendar, people trying to hire coaches and stuff in the middle of seasons and stuff like that. They need to figure that out. And also these playoffs. Fans want to see these playoff games and not have to take off from work or something. So they need to figure out how to do the playoff games so that you're not doing it on a Friday night at 7 o'clock and certain fans have to leave work early or something like that or see the game after it starts. They need to figure it out. And you would think, because it's got the word college in it, you know, college football, the phrase has the word college in it. You'd think there'd be some people with brain power involved. Haven't we been led to believe that people that go to college, oh, they're so smart? In fact, when I was growing up, we had one aunt that went to college for one semester in my family. That was it for college education in my family. And any time I had a question as a little child, they would say, you need to go ask your aunt. Go ask your aunt. She went to college for a semester. Don't ask us, ask her. She went to college for a semester. Well, these college people, they sure need to figure some stuff out when it comes to these college football playoffs and coaches getting hired up during the season. They got some figuring to do.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
And watch for
YouTube viewers, if you're there, and I'm gonna believe you're there, even without looking. Well, I might as well look. And so now I'm looking. And yeah, still a smaller number though. We're getting closer to the game in a smaller number. But I appreciate you smaller number of viewers, like Excalibur 1 Force and P.R. Henry 115, Sharon of Fairhope, Chris the Bammer, thank you, Larry Morting, Chuck, anybody else. Thank you all for looking. I appreciate it very, very much. Now I'm going to be back on the radio here in a few minutes. Let me see if I can find some things of interest to reveal to you or tell you about. Oh, first, let me hit refresh on the Epstein file. There hasn't been a new headline in the last 10 minutes, so that's good. Maybe they'll leave me alone with less perversion. All right, so in the weird news files, there was an abduction case dating back to 1983 in Kentucky that has been solved, going back all the way back to 1983. A 3-year-old girl went missing in 1983. Joe Newton's daughter, Michelle, she went missing in 1983 at age 3. More than 40 years later, a Crime Stoppers tip that came in from Florida led to her being found alive and well more than 40 years later. It was Joe Newton's former wife, Deborah, who ran off with Michelle. Michelle had only learned that she had been kidnapped and that her identity had been changed after being approached by police. So she never knew. All these years, she had no clue that she had been kidnapped away from her father. Can you imagine that? Being in your 40s and the police come up and say, guess what? Can you imagine that? Now, the mother, Deborah, has been charged with something. There's no statute of limitations. Now, I don't know. The charge is custodial interference, so I don't know what they could possibly do. But what a horrible thing to do. This will be, and of course, many will wonder. This certainly somebody in that family can write a book, because there are going to be a lot of people that want to know what happens next. All right, let's see. Yesterday on the I'm almost back on the radio. In Wisconsin, people were eating at a restaurant at Lake Geneva Resorts in Wisconsin, and during dinner, a raccoon fell through the ceiling and got loose inside the restaurant. It took 25 minutes to capture the raccoon, and then people could eat again. That I could say that's not happened when I've been in a restaurant. I think I've seen bugs in a restaurant. I might have even seen a rat. I've never had a raccoon fall out of the ceiling.
Keep up with all the online stories mainstream media ignores by listening to the Brad vs. Everyone podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app, now #1 for podcasting. This is News Radio 710, WNTN, an iHeartRadio station.
Uncle Henry Show. It's 6:50. Between now and the news headlines, we have news headlines coming up in 10 minutes here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Let me go to another voicemail. The voicemail number, if you'd like to leave me a message, and I love it when you do. In fact, if you're during the holiday season, if you have a thought and you wish that you could express it with somebody, feel free to call and leave me the message. 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976 to leave a message for the Uncle Henry Show. Here is a message from one of our top voicemailers of the year, Buford, and it's about a topic. I've noticed this too, to my dismay.
Henry, this here's Buford. Henry just stopped in a gas station to get me something to drink. About half a dozen people in there, men and womans. And Henry, every last one of them was in pajamas.
All right, now, I'm pausing there. So what did he say? Half a dozen people. He's claiming that all half a dozen dressed in pajamas.
Pajama pants, pajama shirts, fuzzy slippers, not fuzzy slippers. Henry, they all look like they either got out of bed or were going to bed. And every last one of them was in pajamas, Henry. Henry, I almost wondered aloud if there was a pajama party close by.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people out in their pajamas before, but there's always been one or two, but ain't never seen a group of people, and they didn't seem like they were together or knew each other. But you know, if you are a man, you don't need to be going out in public in pajamas.
Thank you for saying this, Buford. Thank you for saying that, Buford.
But you know, if you are a man, you don't need to be going out in public in pajamas.
Amen.
At all. You need to be prepared to deal with any type of emergency that may come your way, your car broken down,
Right.
and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And females, I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do, Henry. But my Lord, Henry, dangest thing I ever seen. Anyway, Henry, you have a good day.
Yes, Buford, people going out, adults, men and women, just going to the Walmart, going to the convenience store, going here, there, and everywhere in their pajamas. Now, why do you think this? Why is that? And people fly on airplanes. There was President Trump and the Secretary of Transportation. I think they talked about this, or it was the Secretary of Transportation talking about how people show up at the airport now look like they're going to bed when they get on the airplane. Now, what do you think this is? We've reached a point in society where you're going to go out and there's going to be a bunch of people that just wear pajamas and fuzzy slippers wherever they go. Is it about comfort? Is it just that we've become more comfort-oriented in our society? See, I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe it's because we're more comfort-oriented. I think it's because lousy parenting. Lousy parenting. The parenting has just dropped off. Now, I'm not talking about you, of course. The AM radio listener has done an outstanding job, I'm sure, parenting and raising a family. It's more of the FM radio listeners and the people that stream all the time with their music. They're the ones that are not parenting their children and allow. There's that, not parenting, not teaching the children how they should dress, having a standard that we must comport ourselves with and live up to. We want to have a standard that we exhibit to the rest of the world. It's not that. It's not just that. There's also the continued adolescence in this country where people now make it to their 40s, 50s, and may not ever grow up completely. And they wear their adolescence as a badge of honor. They feel like they've done something important by acting like a teenager when they're 50 or 60 years old, when all they've done is act like a fool. That's what it is. It's poor parenting and people being unwilling to grow up and being encouraged not to grow up ever in their life. I want to remind you as we're fixing to go into the news break here of an old saying, and that is, there's no fool like an old fool. There's no fool like an old fool. There's more show to come. First, we got news headlines coming up from Fox, and then additional Uncle Henry show as I yearn to flee the building to watch Alabama football.
Digital ID is the end of freedom.
If there's anybody left watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. I'll be back Monday at the regular time right here with you on YouTube and on News Radio 710. Have a pleasant evening. Roll Tide Roll. I predict victory. I do.
Hey, you want to give the gift they'll actually use this holiday? Peace of mind? Give the people in your life something that will protect them. Go to BYRNA.com today. They are the world leader in less lethal personal defense. It's compact.